I began to work on this book when I learned that my cousins did not know the exploits of the Eyman boys during World War II. I started by interviewing my uncles, aunts, and cousins to gather the story. And I came to realize it was really a story about the Dust Bowl.
You kind of even hate to talk about it, but it's been so long, it don't bother me now. But it was terrible.
I remember the hot southwest winds just wilting everything every year.
The wind and the sand actually would cut that corn off, or else it would bury the corn with the sand. My father was so discouraged, I never saw him cry until after one of those storms.
I learned so much about what it was like on this farm in Oakdale, Nebraska. But more importantly than that, it was a journey to discover who my grandfather was. Because as children, we never mentioned his name.
He farmed the place there where we lived, but he worked for George Hunter across the fence there.
He was a man who had a dream. He wanted a farm. He wanted to support this family of 12 in the best way he could. My grandmother was a very loving person. And where Chris was the strict disciplinarian, she provided that little extra ounce of love and nurturing and caring.
We were all very close. I remember there were 10 of us in that house, and I don't know where we all slept, but we did, you know. It was upstairs somewhere.
Chris was a hard worker. I can remember him going out to milk the cows and things when I was there.
And then the Dust Bowl hit. The grasshoppers were the devastation to the crops.
They ate everything, you know. They just cleaned everything.
They were big boogers. And when they flew up and lit on you, they could bite you, they'd pinch you, you could feel it.
They'd poison them, but, you know, it just kept coming.
They tried to grow crops every year, but it was so dry. When things were at their worst is when Hattie seemed to be at her best. Her dream changed from how am I going to educate these children and get them to the best life I can possibly give them, to how am I going to feed and clothe and keep these kids alive.
You wonder how she was able to, but she baked bread and she canned a lot of vegetables and that type of thing.
They had always raised chickens and hens. She raised more.
We milked cows, so we had cream, and we'd take that to the store on Saturday night and trade the cream and the eggs for groceries. My dad worked for the government, building roads, and just for a few bucks so he could buy something to eat, you know.
All those dreams he had of owning his farm someday, those dreams were devastated. There was no way that was ever going to happen. They knew that he was in a decline.
He kind of held back. He wasn't too interested maybe in getting out.
Hattie was always watching for him. When he was in a black mood, she would tell the boys, watch your dad.
The Eyman family was the only family in Antelope County that had 4 boys in the service at the same time.
4 brothers was in the war, and I tell you, just...
It was tough on you.
Got to him, yeah.
There were times he would go in the cellar, and he just wanted to be alone.
He was just having kind of a nervous breakdown over it all.
Hattie began to speak in a worried voice. Turk, Dad did not come in for dinner today, and I'm worried. I have a bad feeling this time. They lifted the lifeless body of their father. He was light as a feather as the boys carried him from the barn up to the house. Turk said, he's gone, and he's never to be mentioned again. And with that, The door was closed on a secret that would not be revealed for nearly 65 years. The difficult things are hard to talk about, but through the book, we were able to talk about those difficult times, and I think it really helped us all work through them.
But other than that, I'm proud of my folks.
Yeah.
I think that my grandfather and my grandmother would be so proud of their 10 children.
The whole family done well, and I know the folks would appreciate that very much.
And I think he would see himself in those children. I find the Oakdale Cemetery hauntingly beautiful when I think about the people and the sacrifice. And I can walk up there and look over the graves, and I know this is my family. This is where I came from. I value their history, I value their legacy, and I have a lot of peace coming here. A lot of peace.